Jacob. If any of you have family members that are named, what is 10% of 50? $5. And where does it go? It goes to the Lord first. Like from a 5-year-old, I never had to learn the step of faith of trusting God with that. I was taught it from a very, very young age. And like going to church was a non-negotiation. Like, this is what we did. And I received that. It was a chain of blessing. And how many of you guys know that you have some blessings that came from your mom and dad? Don't hear me wrong. There is some things that are not perfect with my mom and dad. And now I know this, I'm a dad. And I have 4 kids. And as I was studying out the generational sins in Genesis, I was like, which ones do I struggle with? And immediately it came to my mind, favoritism. Like favorite children, right? And I like the cat. The cat's my favorite, all right? Because the other 4, they give me issues all the time, right? And I know I learned that from my mom. I was my mom's favorite, right? Just only child. If you're a favorite in here, raise your hand if you're the favorite child, all right? So that was me. Some of you guys are just like, I'm not going to do that right now, right? So, but for many of us, understand this. You start thinking about your past, it's hard. Because trauma is real. The way that you were raised or treated as a child, it affects how you trust people. It affects how you see yourself. It affects whether you believe you're lovable or not. Some of you inherited hardship that you didn't choose. You were raised under the hardship of your family's finances or emotions or lack of spirituality, and it's there. Some of you might be fighting an addiction right now, and you don't know where it came from. Maybe like it skipped a generation, came straight from your grandparents. You're just like, oh man, why is this even here? There's even cases of where kids that are adopted never seen their mom and dad, but you do a deep dive and you see the struggles that the adopted kid has, and it's linked all the way back to the parents that they've never had. I don't know if I've heard this statement this past week. Jesus may be in your heart, but grandpa is still in your bones, right? Like, in other words, I'm genuinely saved, I'm genuinely love God, and I still, for some reason, feel these old patterns operating in me that have a will of their own. What is that? You are a product of your past. And so, as you hear this, it might be extremely discouraging because you might be thinking, well, am I doomed to repeat it? Am I shackled to what has been given to me? And church, here's the promise that this whole series leans into right now. You are shaped by your past, but listen, you are not shackled to your past. You are not shackled to it. Not because you're strong enough to break free, but because of the gospel of Jesus Christ. The chain that got handed to you does not get the final say. It can stop. You, by God's grace, can stop it and give to your kids something new. But how? How does a person actually break a chain that is that deep? So now I want you to jump over to Exodus chapter number 34. And I want you to be able to see the God of mercies. And it says in this passage, God's mercy is for 1,000 generations. Exodus 34, in verse number 6, just to give you the context, this is when Moses is on the mountain of God and he's being able to have God pass before him. And I love what it says in verse number 6. And the Lord passed by before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, abundant in goodness and truth. What does he do? He's keeping mercy for thousands. He's forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin. And that will by no means clear the guilty. And like, God is, just lean into that. God's merciful. God is gracious. God is patient. He sees, he empathizes, he understands the past that we have. He is the one capable of clearing the mistakes that we made, even the ones that got passed down from our parents. But then you see this next part. It says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third, to the fourth generation. What is he saying right there? Is he saying that we're going to pay for the sins of our parents or our grandparents? That's not what he's saying. He's saying, I'm a God that forgives and clears the guilty for over 1,000 generations. And I visit those that are affected continuously by the decisions of the generations before them. In other words, this is what you need to understand. You do not pay for the sins of your parents or your grandparents, but God is going to hold you accountable to make sure that you do not follow the same path of your parents and grandparents. He's going to hold you to be someone that doesn't continue to do the things that you know are wrong just because your mom did it, just because your dad do it. Write this down. If generational sin doesn't stop with you, it's going to spread with you. Your sin will have continuous consequences. So if you don't deal with it, if you don't look at it, if you don't make a decision, God, by your grace, this generational curse stops with me. This generational sin stops with me. If you don't make that decision, and if you don't do the work of forgiving your past, you guys saw it in the definition earlier, and it says the work, because this isn't something that happens easily. This doesn't happen, hey, I sleep on my Bible and all of a sudden by osmosis I absorb spiritual juice that allows me to forgive. It's work. It's you getting together with the Spirit of God who is empowering you to forgive the past, but you got to deal with it in order for you to be whole. You're either going to be a chain repeater, you're going to be a chain breaker. Peacemakers must first become chain breakers. If you want to be a whole person, you have to do this work. You have to look at your past. You have to see it. You have to own it and say, hey, God, not me. I want you to do a work within me. Here's the problem, though. You cannot break a chain you cannot see, right? Most of the problems that we have that are within us, we don't even know that it's there. Like we're banging up our head against the wall, thinking that we're doing everything right, but we're not able to see the chain that's holding us down that's been passed from generations. So there's a tool, there's a practice that this is your homework, okay? Elena, you're going to camp, but you have homework, okay? It's called a Geneogram. And I know the word gram triggers some of you guys. Like, not an Enneagram, not a Instagram, whatever. Geneogram, what is this? You can see a sample of it on the next page. But what it is, it's you writing out a family tree. It's you writing down mom, dad. It's you writing down grandma and grandpa. But it's not just a family tree, all right? It's you now getting honest about patterns that you see. You begin to note, hey, here's Grandpa Bill. I have a Grandpa Bill. His personality, I asked my mom, Mom, what was his personality like? And you write it down. Self-absorbed, angry, passive, anxious, joyous. What do I see there? Note major events. Were they divorced? Did they have addictions to anything? Did they commit affairs? Did they abandon their duties? And then you note relational patterns. My dad was absent. My mom was codependent. And then you begin to note narratives about them. The unspoken family scripts that you guys have. In this family, we don't talk about feelings. In this family, it's all about money and fun. In this family, love has to be earned. In this family, we never admit when we're wrong. You write those things down. You map it out. And it might get even awkward. I mean, like as you're asking mom and dad, hey, what are some weaknesses that you have? You know what I mean? Like as you talk about it, maybe you do it like in a not condemning way because you know you're just as sinful as well. But you take a look at it. And all of a sudden you're going to be able to start seeing specific things within your family tree. And you're going to be like, I see this in me. Two ways to use a Geneagram well. Number one, your Geneagram should generate caution. It should generate caution. In other words, you start noticing some things. Let's say, hey, my father struggled with infidelity. Instead of like pointing the finger at him and talking about how bad he is, you now look with caution this is in my family. I could struggle with this. Therefore, I should be extra cautious in this area. I need to have accountability in my life. I need to make sure that people are with me and I'm not doing things in secret because I am bent towards this sin. And so in other words, a wise man sees the evil and flees from it. Like you start building up defenses because you know if you haven't messed up, I could be prone to this. And so I got to be prepared for this. Maybe you see that one of your grandparents or one of your